Welcome in, welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon, and we appreciate you tuning in here on a Sunday evening. It is the middle of October, late October, just 2 weeks before Halloween, and a lot of crazy stuff happening around the college football landscape. My name is Bryce Koon. This is the Crowded Booth, college football all the time. Will Manis and Ralph Leary are joining me, where tonight we tackle the content and we tackle the subjects, and for some teams that couldn't tackle this past weekend, Billy Napier out at Florida. The SEC race heating up, a little bit chaotic. What's happening in the ACC? And then two coaches who did not perform again on Saturday. Could their jobs be on the line? We appreciate Believe. We appreciate all our sponsors. Let's roll. Crowded Booth here on a Sunday night.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Happy Sunday evening and welcome in, everybody. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Ralph Leary and Will Manis. Will, noted SMU fan, as the Ponies with a big win in Death Valley Junior this past weekend. So Will is very excited, very happy about the trajectory of his SMU program. Will, would you like to open up with comments on Rhett Lashley's crew?
I'll just quote Rhett Lashley. Kevin Jennings is a stud. I mean, we've been saying it for a couple years. Saw it last year. He's magic. He's a stud. He's a big reason why they went to Clemson and won that game. It's quarterback play. Quarterback play is the key in college football.
It is. More on that later on the opposite end of the spectrum. Big win for the Troy Trojans, Ralph. You were very negative about them heading into the season, but we sit here in the month of October, and I told you this past weekend, Troy has a legitimate shot to be in the Sun Belt title game. This was another step in the right direction. Your opening comments about your team.
Well, I was kind of wrong at first, with Jared Parker, but, going now into the season, I feel better. Obviously, I think quarterback play's gotten better with Tucker Kilcrease taking over. I'm not confident in the run game going forward, though. That's what's scaring me. They're not able to run the ball as well against a ULM team last week who's not very good. They should run the ball better, in my opinion. And going forward, you can play a team with better run defense with, some of the miss toward still play this year. You're going to run the ball again, and you got good running backs. So hopefully they step that up. I think defense is playing a lot better, though. So shout out Joe Lott, 2 interceptions and a pick 6.
There you go. That's what you love to see. It's what you love to see. Week 8 of college football was filled with a lot of ups and downs, some big money decisions made today. I guess the less notable one, Jay Norvell out at Colorado State.
Who?
Brian Harson's new landing spot could be over there at Colorado State as the head coach of another Mountain West program.
Should be.
Sorry, I just had to get that out there. But no, Colorado State is looking for a head coach. But most notably, and let's kick tonight's show off with this right here, the first topic of conversation and where we need to go here is down to Gainesville, Florida. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators knock off Mississippi State in what was one of the crazier finishes I've seen. A big man interception for the Gators. And that was wild. That was crazy to see, and just nuts. Jeff Lebby had the game won. He just needs to position himself for the field goal, run the clock down, kick it, and it's a first SEC win under Jeff Lebby, I believe, for Mississippi State. That would have been that. Instead, Mississippi State falls to 4-3 overall, and I believe they're now 0-3 in SEC play, if I'm correct. But still looking for that first win in the Jeff Lebby era. For Mississippi State. Still love Lebby, still love Mississippi State. But we're talking about Billy Napier here and the Gators making a move today. A little bit of a preview for you. Napier is out at Florida, but I guess obviously some of the big news we're going to be talking about is tomorrow on the podcast, we're going to have Graham Hall of Swamp 24/7. He's the one who broke the news in the meeting and then all the stuff there afterwards. He's going to come on and talk about what this means for Florida and where they could go from here. Guys, I preface it with this. Let's talk about Billy Napier. Went 22-23 in 4 seasons, 12-16 in SEC play. He was 5-17 against ranked opponents. This is what's crazy. In SEC road games, he never won one. 0-14 on the road as an SEC coach. Also declined to ever give up his play calling, opportunity, and that was a big thing, a big bugaboo for You kind of looked across the country at coaches who have to do that. Napier didn't. He got the axe here. 3-12 against rivals Florida State, Georgia, LSU, Miami, and Tennessee. That is the fewest wins by a Florida coach in those games since the 1930s. Will, I know where you want to go here. I know you're itching to talk about another team that needs to let them go. But staying on the topic of Billy Napier, winning a game, getting fired, we saw the reports heading in earlier in the week that the admin and the donor base had kind of really – it was very Les Miles-ish, I think, in terms of like knowing he was going to be fired regardless. He was asked the question after the game. Your thoughts, though? Billy Napier out at Florida. We've seen this coming. We've been talking about it for 2 years. Are you surprised that it happened when it did, and just your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I'm surprised it happened when it did. Something about beating Mississippi State. This is the third coach in the last 5 years fired the morning after beating Mississippi State, which – it's weird timing. You win a game and you fire your coach. It's very odd because say those numbers, that win-loss record. There's some programs in the SEC that wish they had those numbers, even as bad as they are. But it's certainly not good enough for Florida. Billy Napier.
Something's happening here. We've lost Will completely. Can you hear Will, Ralph?
What?
No, I mean, it sounded like Will's mic just kind of went like completely quiet.
Sorry about this. Technical difficulties here on the show. We need a technical difficulty show thing here. Can everyone can hear me? I sound fine?
Yeah, but when I talk, I hear an echo.
I don't know what the issue was. Do you still hear an echo currently?
I mean, also it's only when I talk though. I hear an echo when I'm talking, but when you're talking, I think it's coming from your side. I think your mic is too close to your output of your volume.
Let's bring it here. Let's see. They say both sounds good. I don't know.
Hello. See, I still slightly hear, but I think it's better now. It's better than it was, at least. Will, thoughts?
Don't know. Doesn't matter.
Oh, that's better. There we go.
That sounds way better. Anyways, I guess here we go.
Right.
Turn it on, turn it off situation.
What you got? Go ahead. Let's try that again. Take two. Will, Billy Napier's out of Florida. Your thoughts?
Timing is weird. They have to pay him like $10 million in the next 30 days. It's kind of strange. Florida's obviously got some money that they're ready to throw around, and I think it shows that they know who they want to replace him.
Yeah, look, you shell out that kind of money, and I think just in terms of not just the coach's buyout, like you got to think about you're buying out essentially an entire staff of their contracts, of what's happening in terms of your offensive coach, your defensive coaching staff. It's a big deal no matter where you're going to be. And so when we kind of sit here and we talk about, okay, where does Florida go from here? We can talk about options. We'll talk more in depth about that tomorrow. But Ralph, Napier is the first full-time coach at Florida to finish his tenure with a losing record since Raymond Wolf from 1946 to 1949. Just could never really get it off the ground. They'd get some momentum last year. That late run wins against Ole Miss and LSU saved his job. But we talked about, could you carry it over into this season? They never really did. And just some flat performances. Obviously, the loss to USF, who's turned out to be a pretty good team. A loss on the road against LSU. Just some embarrassing performances in a group that I think they've got talent, man, but it's just has not it's just not looked good.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. It just hasn't looked good all year. There's been flashes, very good play, we thought. You go back to the Texas game, of course, and looked really a lot better. We thought this team kind of turning around and was going to save Billy, and you talk about last year in the season. This is the team that we thought we would turn around, and man, they win 9 games this year possibly and have an upset or two in the season, but it just has not been that this year. I think the whole entire season has been a flop for them. I'm just not impressed, and I don't know what to say. What he could have done better there. I thought he recruited extremely well there. I thought he that's a crazy comment in the comment section, by the way. I thought he recruited really well. I just thought the play calling was just not there for them. Obviously, you had one of the best quarterbacks in the recruiting class 2 years ago commit to you, and all talk was him starting last year and getting the full season this year. And obviously, you had the the off season where he was kind of like he was hurt and he didn't practice most of the fall camp, and there's just a lot of things we didn't really see out of that Florida side that we were expecting from them, and I'm very disappointed in how Billy kind of performed there at Florida. I thought it would have been better.
Will.
What?
How's your mic doing, buddy?
I don't know.
Is it selected?
Yeah. And you can see the volume. It's almost cranked all the way to max. I don't know what
That's
to
crazy.
do.
Well, anyways, I kind of say it here with obviously with Billy Napier. This was a game where
God, I'm gonna kill somebody.
Wait, that sounded so much better.
It wasn't selected.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The crowded booth with Bryce Koon.
It's all right. It's all right.
I don't
It's
know
all
why
right.
the camera would be the default. I don't understand.
We're here, baby. We're here. 12 minutes into it. Let's kick it off.
Now
College
it's
football.
chopping.
Now
This
it's
is
chopping.
Good thing it's not. Good thing we're not recording this. We just can't use. We
Yeah,
can't.
good thing this is live, right?
Hey, the one thing I needed to happen today didn't happen, so I'm irritated.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. We're going to talk about that in a second. Really quick before your, entire grid shuts down over there. This fair.
Bingo, Alex.
Fair. If y'all knew how technologically challenged that Will really is, you'd be amazed. Will, real quick, Billy Napier, I know you were kind of getting into your thoughts. Just, are you surprised at how his tenure ended? I'm not, because I just feel like this is a situation where you've got a head coach that I don't want to say was never right for the job, but there was never like this boost of like, he's the guy. And Florida fans would tell you that too.
Yeah, there was never like a defining moment where you felt confident that he was going to get the job done. I mean, there's been in recent years so much talk in the SEC where you kind of know after like five conference games, you pretty much know if a guy's going to be successful or not. And nobody ever felt that way. There's other coaches in the SEC that we'll talk about later that you felt that way after 5 or 6 games that like, this is not the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, too, when you talk about Napier, I felt like his job, guys, was so much tied to DJ Lagway, like the last 2 years. It was one of those situations like, okay, you want to keep DJ Lagway in the mix. You want to be able to have a quarterback that can take you to where you want to go. They had Graham Mertz, who was serviceable for him. I mean, it was solid, floor of a quarterback for you. But just in terms of what you had, in terms of production, like they got some wideouts. Dallas Wilson's really, really a good wide receiver. Finally got healthy, was able to play. And then DJ Lagway, obviously, is the kind of player that he is. You're kind of able to see what you could get out of him. But just overall, frustrating tenure. And I think the thing for Florida is this, right? It's to me, this is, and I hate to say it like this, the way this tenure ended for Billy Napier is kind of a fitting in to his whole career at Florida. Way too often looked way in over his head in terms of what he was doing on the field. Repeated penalties. You had careless errors from a team that should have been better. Game organization issues. And I think just, for a lot of people probably stuck around maybe longer than they thought. And you mentioned that, Will, like bought some time with those wins late last season. Now Billy Napier is gone. Where does Florida go from here? I'm going to get more into this tomorrow, so make sure you tune into it. Just how good do you think this job is, surface level? Like if you can go be the head coach at Florida with what they have resources wise and that recruiting base down there in a really talent rich state.
I think it's the best job available, and it will be the best job available, regardless of what other jobs may or may not come open. I think Florida's the best job.
Ooh, I got a good question for you. Is it a better job available than the one that's 20 minutes from my house?
I don't think so.
I think it is.
I think it's close.
You would know better than me, but I think there's more money available at Florida.
Liquid. They're liquid down in Gainesville. They're not quite liquid over here in Baton Rouge. Ralph, is this the best job available currently on the market, in your opinion?
Oh, man, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about jobs compared to like Penn State, Oregon State, now Colorado State. I mean, you can't say that any one of those jobs are better right now than Florida. I mean, that's a slam dunk hire. But the thing is, though, is when you go hire somebody, you better get the right guy because you missed in the last few ones.
You've missed on since Muschamp.
Yeah, I disagree.
You think? Well, oh no, Mullen, but Mullen didn't want to recruit.
I think Florida has hit on all their previous coaches except Napier. I just think the expectations were too high. Muschamp was just a quarterback away. He followed Urban Meyer, so it's hard to follow a guy that won 2 national titles. Jim McElwain played for one. Did he play for 2 SEC championships?
At least one.
So I'd say he was fairly successful. Mullen, great winner, struggled to win the big, want to recruit, like you said. But I think that was more from the end of his time, and I think there were some other jobs that he was maybe openly trying to lobby for. So he didn't feel like he needed to recruit because he thought he might go to the NFL.
Yeah.
So I would say those 3 guys, I think Florida did well. And Muschamp, man, he's always been a quarterback away. But following Urban Meyer, that was a tall task that would be hard for anybody.
Close it here. Florida in the Billy Napier era. I mentioned we went 5-17 against AP ranked opponents, the 5th worst record among SEC teams since 2022. Behind them, Mississippi State 3-13, Vanderbilt 3-13, Arkansas 3-19, 22 ranked games, and Auburn 1-16. We'll talk about it later. Don't worry, Will.
Like I said, I don't know if anybody heard me because I was having some mic problems.
You were under the wall. You were in the shower while we were doing that.
There's other programs in the SEC that wish they had a 22-23 record and what is it, 9-12 in the SEC or something.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right, let's put up the next banner. Now we talk about the SEC in terms of the real contenders in the SEC. And fellas, this is something that I think is pretty interesting. When you look at how the SEC race is shaping up, we saw some games. I know we've mentioned this a couple times, like separation Saturdays, right? Like you have these games where, hey, there's multiple big games on in each time frame. It's an opportunity for a team to leapfrog or to put themselves into the conversation. And frankly, you had 3 games in 3 time slots that determine that. Primetime time slots in terms of LSU Vanderbilt, then you had Ole Miss Georgia, and then you sat there and had Alabama Tennessee in the nightcap. Let's talk about, we're not going to go into details of the games, but real contenders in the SEC. How big is this list truly for you when you look at the standings? Because there's a plethora of teams with 1 loss. There's 3 teams with 2 losses, although I don't think any of those teams really have a chance. Maybe Tennessee's got the best opportunity. But when you look at it, Will, we'll start with you on this. How deep does your real contender list go for the SEC as we're sitting here in the middle to late October?
So I'm looking at the standings right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the top 4 are certainly contenders, and then I think your contenders for the SEC right now are Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. You think about the teams ahead of Vanderbilt, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, who they still have left to play. I certainly think there's more losses on the schedule for them. Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt might be favored in every game the rest of the way for them.
They're good.
Clark
Lewis said they're a good program. They're pretty good.
They are. There's some slander in the comments about Vanderbilt that I don't agree with.
I can't see it. I'm full screen paying attention to you two fellas. So I told Gavin's going to handle it, so we can all go full screen and we can put the comments as they go if you'd like. What's the slander on Vandy? Let me see real quick though.
So this one, Vandy is a top 10 team, but has one of the worst recruiting profiles in the SEC.
I mean,
what do you mean by recruiting profile? You mean like their current recruiting class? Do you mean like the outlook of recruiting? Because profile could mean a couple things. Vandy, I think, is a sleeping giant that might be waking up. You think about where they are. They're in a desirable place, Nashville. Nashville's where everybody wants to be, and that's what Vanderbilt is. The money's coming in. Facilities are getting better. I know facilities aren't getting all be all like they once were. There's certainly money at Vanderbilt. I mean, I think as long as Clark Reed's there, Vanderbilt's going to be a problem.
Yeah. I'll say this about Vanderbilt and the recruiting profile. They've already gone public and pretty much told people they're going to be a portal team. Like they're scouring JUCO Division II FCS and trying to be the best. And so in terms of, where the rankings will look like, well, they really care what the on-field production. And the last 2 years, obviously last year being maybe that foundational year they needed, this year for them is they're good. Like this is not fluky what they're doing. They have their brand and they're imposing it on other teams. I just watched them impose it on what a lot of people thought was one of the best defenses in the country, and Diego Pavia and company. And it's more than just him. I know Clayton says this. They just play really well. If you had to sit there and listen to the broadcast the whole time, they talked about the right side of the offensive line, the left side of the offensive line, how they do that.
And the fast side,
the strong side, the fast side. Shoot, it works. Who cares? Like Vanderbilt is, to your point, Will, as being creative when that's what's needed when you're a program, and I mean this in the best way, like Vanderbilt, when you don't have the resources of a Florida, a Texas or something like that. So hats off to them. They're doing it a really good job. Didn't mean to go so far into Vandy here, but I agree with you. They're a real contender in the SEC. Ralph, before I get to you, I do have a question for Will. So you listed A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Vandy as your contenders. Does a healthy John Napier, whether that happens or not, would you put them in that category if John Napier was 100% healthy?
I would, yeah.
You would? Okay. Who knows what's going to happen?
Sitting here October 19th waiting to see what that looks like the rest of the way.
Very fair. Very fair. I think they're good, but they're probably on the outside looking in without a healthy John Napier there. So, Ralph, where does that list end for you in terms of real contenders?
Honestly, A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. I think they're the best teams in the conference right now. They've shown it every week so far. A&M obviously continues to win, no matter what they keep it close or not, but they just continue to find ways to win. I still think Ole Miss is a good team. I think Trinidad Chambliss, he played a really good game on Saturday. Just that fourth quarter, kind of Kirby finally dialed it up on them and figured it out. I still like this Alabama team though. They really showed out on Saturday against Tennessee. Defense played really well. Stopping Tennessee from scoring late. I just think that going forward, Alabama's just the favorite right now in the SEC. I think they've really kind of turned the cheek after that first week loss to Florida State, and they're just getting better week by week. Obviously, you got Oklahoma still to play at home. You got LSU at home, and you go to Auburn. And at South Carolina next week or 2 weeks. Sorry, just games they can win though.
Yeah, they're going to win all those games, probably by double digits.
I think when I look at this,
30.
When I look at this and the SEC, contender list, A&M's up there for me. I think that Colin Klein has done a great job with Marcel Reed and our friend Cullen, who he's listening and he's watching. I know that, but he writes a lot of stuff for us about the SEC. He talked to us. We were texting back this. They tried to make Lenore Sellers the more of the pocket passer. That's failed miserably under Shula and that regime over in Columbia. It's kind of worked out for Colin Klein and A&M. Marcel Reed staying in the pocket a little bit more. We all know what he can do in terms of his legs. And man, they look good. Like Mike Elko's group, I think we've talked about this. I think he's a really, really good coach. To me, he's the polar opposite of what Jimbo was in College Station in terms of the players coach connecting with his players. And in year 2, you're seeing that. Can they keep it up? They're 7-0 there as well. Alabama, to me, is definitely in that mix because you talk about turning the cheek and continuing to play. Like, they're figuring some things out, and we talked about this. Kalen DeBoer getting his OC that he really wanted has made a difference in that offense. And it took a second, right? Ty Simpson needed to get his feet underneath him. National media were sitting there saying, I don't know what you've seen in Ty Simpson in fall camp to play him. Well, now you see, like, he's got a plethora of weapons. They're balanced in their attack, and defensively they're really, really good as well. And I'll tell you about this, Georgia, to me, I mean, look, I know we don't have a lot of Georgia fans in our comments section, but when you look at Georgia, the second half adjustments are ridiculous that they're making and what they're able to do to teams. 13 total yards for Ole Miss in that second half, or in that fourth quarter, I'm sorry. They've got kind of a three-headed monster at running back. Branch is really coming into his own in this offense. Colby Young's injury is something to monitor because they don't necessarily have the big-bodied receiver. But, hey, they figured out that they've got some star talent at that tight end spot that's not Brock Bowers, and they remembered those guys. Big games. And then, Matt says right here, Gunnar Stockton's a baller. Like, I mean, he's going to give you a chance to win. He's making some smart decisions. I like them. Ole Miss, defensively, I'm concerned with them. One of the worst rush defenses in the SEC. I would say, to me, my contenders, and this might be crazy, I'm not mad that LSU lost to them. A&M, Bama, Georgia, Vandy. I'm keeping Ole Miss out because I do not think they have a great defense. Vandy, I love the offense. I love Lane Kiffin. I'd call Lane Kiffin tomorrow to be my head coach if I was starting a football program. But I think that's where you're looking. I think Ole Miss has at least another loss on their maybe one or two on their schedule the rest of the way. We'll see what happens. They got a big one this weekend. They're playing Oklahoma, so that's a big de facto playoff for the playoff to go to the SEC title game if we want to do that. So a lot of fun stuff. SEC real contender. I want to do this midway point. Who's your SEC? What's your SEC title game? What you got? Will, you go first. What's your we're moving the goalpost. We can do that on this show.
Texas A&M and Alabama.
I like it. That'd be a lot of fun. Ralph.
I think Texas A&M slips up one game. I'm going to Alabama, Georgia.
Which was your preseason one? That was your preseason pick.
Sticking with it.
God, I'd love to see Vandy and A&M play. That'd be so much fun in the SEC championship game.
Slip up twice. They are 4-0.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. I'm going to go A&M, Georgia. A&M, Georgia.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Auburn sounds like Auburn would have something to do with that.
They would. And I'm hoping they do for an electric evening inside Jordan-Hare.
That would be crazy. You
that
win
would
the
be
Iron Bowl
nuts.
and lose your job? That would be crazy.
We're going to talk about it. Before we do, though, I want to tell you about our friends over at Section 103. Some of the best gear that you're going to have right there on the market in terms of what they provide for you. They've got the LSU gear. They got the Georgia Tech gear. That gold polo, by the way, the Georgia Tech polo, they just restocked it. They sold out within hours, I was told. And so make sure you use code TCB10 for 10% off your order today. Listen, you can use that code one time. Make sure you use it. You get as much gear as you need, especially as we head into the colder months. They've got some great hoodies. They got the Brent Key hoodie, LSU stuff in terms of, we got a baseball celebration coming up in terms of the College World Series championship this past year. They're going to be at the White House tomorrow. Make sure you get some of that LSU baseball script gear as well. And don't forget about our friends right up 75, 85. You peter off past, Truist Park, and you find a winning program in the Conference USA in Kennesaw State. The Owls, hooty hoo, playing some good football right now. They've got a deal with Section 103. And, hey, Southern not State, I should say. Georgia Southern knocked off Georgia State. Bad times.
Knocked off. They blew them out the stadium.
Bad. Things are bad at Center.
Yeah, dude.
That wasn't anywhere towards you.
Activity on Twitter because of that. I mean, listen.
Oh, God. Here we
let's
go.
address it again. If you're a Georgia Tech fan and you are worried about anything that has to do with Georgia State,
you've already lost.
I'm going to say the word. You're a loser. You should not be concerned with Georgia State whatsoever. You should not be concerned with some idiot Auburn fan that knows next to nothing about football, that just likes an Auburn alum who is a great coach. What are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just adjusting. This was bothering me because it was facing the wrong way, so keep going. I'm sorry.
An Auburn fan that is supporting an Auburn alum who's a great coach and great recruiter. I thought he could build on what Sean Elliott had started at Georgia State, and it's been a nightmare. He's got next to no support. Who could have seen that at the beginning of that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, this is not a Del McGee problem. Like, I'll tell you that. This is not a Del McGee problem. Del McGee and Sam Pittman might be some sought-after position coaches this offseason.
I need them in orange and blue. I'll just say that.
Maybe they do head to Gainesville. I don't know what's the temperature in El Paso this time of year. UTEP Miners got a couple positions coming open. All right, let's talk about the ACC here. And, look, let's just say this here. The ACC, I don't know what to talk about in terms of this. The Coastal and the Atlantic are no longer a thing. You've got complete coastal chaos happening in this conference. Let's take a look at the standings right here. We've got them not on your screen, but on our screens over here at home. When we look at this conference, fellas, I'm going to talk about them. I talked about them yesterday. You got a team hanging out at the top of the conference. 2 teams, in fact, 3 teams. Will's wearing the logo of one of them. You got the number 7 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the number 16 Virginia Cavaliers, and then a 5-2 overall 3-0 SMU team. Those 3 teams lead the race for Charlotte. Tell you one thing, man, if we could get a Pony Express and a up with the white and gold ACC title game, we're cooking in Charlotte. And Gavin won't have to eat cookout that time either, and get just massively sick. But he does have, I don't know what you have. Is it which STD is that again that you have? I couldn't remember.
He lost a street fight.
He lost a street fight.
It really looks like it.
Me saying that an STD and then also saying a street fight is a wild correlation that we don't need to even get into the parameters of what that could mean. ACC race, Florida State falls. Let's just talk about that. Florida. We're going to talk Norvell here in a little bit. Florida State falls in absolutely chaotic fashion. Did you guys see how that game ended, by the way?
The wrong Norvell was fired today, by the way.
Jay Norvell deserved to be fired. I agree. That. But
the other wrong was Norvell.
Yeah. We're going to talk Norvell in a second.
I know.
Florida State loses.
Horrible game. 0-4 in conference plays is
haven't won a game in a long time in the ACC. Yeah. Miami, though, loses to Louisville. And we talked about this, and I was on make sure you go check out his new ACC show, All Access, there with Billy Embody. Good friend of the program. We'll see him soon as well. He asked me about this game, and I said, look, man, I think Jeff Brom is the most underrated coach in America. And we've been saying this time after again. You could clip, please, somebody. Please. Crowd of booth, whatever it is, out of context. Please go cut and edit every single time I've said this. Put it together with a montage. He won at Purdue. If you win at Purdue, you're probably a good football coach. He gets back home. He's got the family involved up there in Louisville. And look, the dude might be a quarterback whisperer. I'm not talking about in terms of putting him in the Hall of Fame or anything. But if you want to have your career, if you want to have a little revival in your career as a quarterback, I go to Louisville because he's starting to get a nice little turn there of those guys. Love Jeff Brom. They're in the thick of things, number 19 in the country. Duke did suffer their first conference loss over to Georgia Tech. Pitt looks revived under their new quarterback that they have. Holstein obviously not playing for them. And then Cal is 2-1 and 5-2 overall, which we don't have to talk about that. But I guess same way we took this.
I'm going to them to lose some games.
Same way we took this, Ralph. I'll start with you. When you look at this ACC race, who are your true contenders at the halfway point or the midpoint of the season right here?
The top 3 teams, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and SMU. I think Louisville's
Nobody
good.
Beyond it?
I think Louisville's good. But that one conference loss, I think it's going to hinder them a little bit, is to Virginia. And they still got to play Clemson and SMU in the season. The ACC has been just, I don't want to say the word I want to use, but it's just been a crazy this year. Yeah. Obviously, with Florida State, we thought we were going to be the revival season after last year.
Oh well, I don't know. Revival was the right word. I thought they'd be all right, but
better than 2-10. But obviously, we were wrong about that, and they've completely fallen off the face of the earth. No one expected Virginia to be good. That's for one. Chandler Morris has been the absolute best player they've ever had in a long time at Virginia. Pitt's obviously just doing what they've been doing the last few years. Obviously, last year they went undefeated for a while. This year they're kind of just throwing losses to Louisville right now in a very close game. So Louisville's in there. Like I said, they still got to play Clemson and SMU. anything can happen in those games. If we've seen anything this year, anything can happen in this conference week by week. I think Tech's the favorite right now, obviously, just because their strength of schedule going to the rest of the season isn't as tough as some other teams that play. But if anything's shown you, we don't know what's going to happen the next weekend in college football.
As soon as I thought Virginia would waltz through the rest of their schedule, North Carolina, Cal is going to be a tough one going across country. They host Wake Forest. They go to Duke. Cal and Duke being the tough ones. They almost get beat by Washington State, which Washington State, by the way, back-to-back weeks, they've almost knocked off a top 25 team. I don't know what's happening in Wazoo land. Will, for you, is it as clear as those undefeated teams, or are you waiting for some late-season chaos to maybe shake things up?
I think there will certainly be some late-season chaos. I think your undefeateds and your one-loss teams are still in it. I think Miami, they're certainly still in it. Louisville, of course, still in it. They get a big boost. I'm actually going to say I'm out on Duke.
Okay.
I did not like what I saw from Duke, and I'm not saying that to try and disparage Georgia Tech at all. I think Georgia Tech was great for 4 quarters, and that's what you got to do when you go on the road. But some head scratching decisions from Duke, I thought, and this is no surprise, and this is a compliment to Georgia Tech. They just out physical Duke. Duke was not as physical as I thought they were.
Yeah.
As we found out, I learned a lot about Duke because I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
That goal line stand, I was sitting there, I was waiting on a quarterback run. I was like, how great would it be for me if Mensa just punches this in on his own with a quarterback run? But it didn't happen, and Tech was great. But that concerns me for Duke the rest of the way. Pitt, we hate Pitt. We don't like talking about Pitt. Pitt does have to go to the flats, so I think that's going to knock Pitt out. We'll be at a playoff game in a couple weeks in the ACC, I believe.
We will. Haven't announced it yet,
if
will.
If things hold serve this week, we'll be at a de facto ACC playoff game, which will be a ton of fun. I think that game will. I think the winner of that game will make the ACC title game. But you'll figure out what that game is in due time. But yeah, I agree with Ralph. Georgia Tech is certainly the favorite. I think the way it goes right now, the way Tech season finishes up, I will be surprised if they're not 11-0 going into clean old-fashioned hate.
Yeah. Here's my thing, and I mentioned this on Saturday's Instant Reaction show. Georgia Tech played a real pass game against Darian Menza. Like, they shut down the run game. And Duke's run game had seen a little bit of a resurgence over the past couple of weeks. If Georgia Tech runs into a team that can play a little bit more balanced offensively, that would concern me if I'm a Georgia Tech fan the rest of the way. Like, that would concern me. I don't know if that's on the schedule, to be honest with you, until they get to Atlanta when they play up there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Guys, we didn't really talk about them. I don't think Miami's out of this thing. Like, obviously, we talked about this. They're going to play SMU here in a couple of weeks. Syracuse comes to town, which that's going to be a revenge factor game after Syracuse knocked them out of the ACC race. Shout out those 2 fans in the stands wearing the green and orange last
year. That
was
awesome. I love that.
Awesome. That was amazing. NC State comes to town. They got to go to Virginia Tech. They got to go to Pitt late in the season. There's an opportunity, and also they do play Stanford this weekend, an upbeat Stanford team, I should say. I should have taken that 2+ wins, man, on Stanford.
That might have been the easiest bet of the year. I should have go 0-12.
Crazy.
I should have go 0-12 this year.
This Miami Pitt game at the end of the season was interesting because that could be a play-in game to go to Charlotte. Look, when I look at the contenders in this league, and we can sit here and laugh, and people are going to talk nationally about the ACC and what it is. Georgia Tech and Virginia just keep winning. Like, and for all, and I said this on Saturday. Look, the strength of schedule conversation, I understand it, but there has to be something to said about you just keep going out there and winning football games. And regardless, and I think both of those teams have undergone some adversity. You have 2 top 20 teams right now at the top of your standings. You've got Louisville sitting there at 2-1. You have Miami at 1-1. Kind of crazy. Miami's played 6 games. They've only played 2 conference games to this point. Look, I sit here on October, 19th, and I tell you, like, I think this thing's far from a finished product. But if I had to put a team, and let's get to here, with where we're going with this, I'm going to roll with Georgia Tech, SMU in Charlotte. That's
God,
going to
I
be my
love it.
pick. I want to see it, but I was talking with some people the other day about this, and they said, you know what, SMU kind of feels like they did last year. Sputtered early. They had that loss early last year. You kind of forgot about them. Red Lashley's just handing out L's to the ACC for the past 2 years, by the way. We'll see if that stops, but I'm going Georgia Tech, SMU in Charlotte. That's my midseason pick.
Speaking of that, let me pull it up. I think I sent it to y'all. The stat on Rhett Lashley in conference. Yes. SMU has not lost a regular season game to a conference opponent since November 17th, 2022. 2023, they were 8-0 in American play. Last year, they were 8-0 in ACC play. This year, they're 3-0 in ACC play. They have not lost a conference game in 3 seasons.
I don't care what conference you're in. That's good.
Yep. How many times have I said it? Making the playoffs easy. Just win your games.
Yeah.
Just win your games. And look, this is I know where people are going to go with this, but that's Georgia Tech. That's why they're a top 10 team in the country, because they continue to win. They are not. Yeah. They don't have the flashiest offense. They don't have the highest scoring offense, but they just beat teams into submission and they win. It's old school. I love it.
Yeah. They play ball, right? So before we go to a break and then we come out of it and we talk about hot seats, which I know Will can't wait to. Real quick, I'm going Georgia Tech, SMU. I want to see it. I'm manifesting that. I want to see that in Charlotte in about a month and a half. Is that what you're rolling with? You want to see Tech, SMU? All right, round clean sweep of the board.
This shirt at the game.
No cheering in the press box, sir, please. Ralph, are you going to break the streak? You're going to be
take me if I do that.
Are we talking about what I want to see or what I think we'll see? Because I think we'll see Georgia Tech, Virginia. I'd love to see Georgia Tech, SMU, though.
You think that you're going Georgia Tech, Virginia?
I think so.
It's going to be fun, man. ACC's
my second
fun.
choice would be Georgia Tech, Miami. That'd be my second choice.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't hate to see Georgia Tech, Louisville. But you know what the common denominator is? We're all saying the Jackets are heading to Charlotte. Book your tickets. It would shock me if they weren't there. I'm just going to say that. Like, it would shock me if Georgia Tech was not.
Here comes the Jonesy comment. Oh, we're definitely not making it now.
You love to see it. You love to see it. All right, we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about firings. Should they be fired? Should they be retained? What are they waiting on the plains in Tallahassee? Mike Norvell and Hugh Freeze are on the hot seat when we come back. Hey everyone, Bryce Koon here with the Crowded Booth, and I'm excited to partner with Milton and Drew McCluskey as they get on their new venture, the Cajun Cousins Company. It's an all-stop shop for some of the best food and atmosphere entertainment that you're going to be able to have, especially this fall as college football is right around the corner. What is Cajun Cousins Company? Well, Milt decided to start this business back in Columbia, South Carolina. That's where they're based out of. Drew initially joined him after spending some time with the Saints, but they offer catered Cajun delicacies such as crawfish boils and Aunt Dottie's jambalaya. They bring everything and they can set up anywhere. Look, folks, they're passionate about giving people a reason to gather and to get to the culture that they love so much. They're expanding that brand to the low country of South Carolina, the upstate area, and other areas of the Southeast. So look, if you're going to throw that tailgate party or you're going to have a big gathering, reach out to Cajun Cousins Company today over at CajunCousinsCO.com to get that quote. Tell them the Crowded Booth sent you. We can't wait to see what they have in store this fall. All right, we're doing great on time to get you out of here for Sunday Night Football. I guess close. We'll get you here close, but we'll bleed into it a little bit. And a team that's bleeding profusely, Mike Norvell.
Ooh, sorry, I went in the wrong order there.
That's fine. Mike Norvell's job security. First off, we talked about this. Just go back and watch how the game ended. Just watch how the game ended. Like absolute insanity. Insanity with what we watched in terms of you stayed up and watched that game last night. Stanford wins this game 20-13. Florida State is abysmal. Obviously, the report's coming out today that admin, Pete Nakos of On3 reporting that, admin's really starting to kick some things up. Meetings are being had. The shakers and movers, they're doing their things they need to be doing. Will, let's start here with you with this. Mike Norvell's job security is, I'll give you a couple options. Well, what's the word? What word do you want to use?
You're muted, Will.
Cooked. He's cooked.
Love it. Great choice.
But I don't expect him to go anywhere anytime soon. They've got to come up with $100 million to get rid of him, his staff, and hire a new staff.
Crazy to think about.
It's extremely prohibitive. I think unless they lose every game the rest of the way, which I don't think they will. I think they're too talented. Their defense has got to figure things out, and this will be no surprise coming from me. But I think Gus Malzahn has shown he was the right guy to be offensive coordinator because the offense has been good. I mean, we got to wait on the status of Tommy Castellanos because he got banged up at the end of that game. But I mean, they've scored points in every single game. Their defense is a mess.
Yeah.
I think he's cooked long term, but I think in the short term, and short term being this year and next year, they can fix some things, right? I think they would really have to bottom out and like lose out, which I don't think they will do. And then they're probably going to tell Norvell, you got to hire a new defensive coordinator, which would be what? Would that be 3 in 3 years? Would not be good. But just that $100 million seems so very prohibitive. I mean, that in this day and age and where we are in college football, that could set you back 10 years. I mean, you got to think about you got to pay players. Players want to get paid. You've got to be able to field a competitive roster. And if you're paying 2 coaching staffs $100 million, that's going to set you back.
110% agree with you. And it's kind of where I say, and Paul Feinbaum said this today, and I agree with him as well. Florida State's on a really slippery slope of a program because like what you mentioned, you're not just talking about, okay, we pay the coach, we get him out of here. You're talking about guys that committed to him, so maybe they want to leave. You're talking about that whole staff. You're talking about, and I'm not trying to go over the top of this. You're talking about like relaunching your program. Now, the good thing is the Seminole helmet, you can still sell some things, but man, when you talk about the financial undertaking that this admin and this donor base has to take, it's why that I think you're going to see coaches be retained maybe a little bit longer than they should be. It's why I think Billy Napier was retained longer than he really should have been if we were 10, 15 years ago in this sport. So you use the word cooked. I think Mike Norvell's job security, I'm going to a phrase. I'm going to go hyphenated, thin ice. I think it is razor thin ice in terms of what's happening in Tallahassee.
That's probably better. Cook means he's done after this year. I'm not sure that he is.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think in the model of 5-10 years ago, we would have seen the graphic this morning. No doubt about it. The hesitancy is exactly what you alluded to, though. Ralph, Mike Norvell's job security is what?
It's boiling. It's up there, man. I mean, you're talking about a team that we thought, they brought in a different quarterback. They brought in the OC they wanted. Brought some transfers in, and it was not there. It was there for 1 week, and then you play a bunch of nobodies, and you ran the score up on them, and we all kind of thought, okay, Florida State's got an elite offense and a pretty solid defense. They can compete in the ACC this year, and they just fumbled week after week after week after week now. And it's not pretty. I'm friends with some Florida State fans. They're not happy, obviously. The fan base already wasn't happy in the first place when they did the renovations on the stadium this year and took out like 12, 15,000 seats for just a club level. So, they just keep, they're just more pissed off now. You're going to have a fan base that looks like, it's going to be like the Oklahoma State games where people have a banana conga line going around the stadium.
It's insane. It's insane to me to think about kind of after week 1, we're sitting here talking about this with Mike Norvell. It was back, right? And please put up the comment that Clayton says, could we have a team with 2 SEC wins and no ACC conference wins?
And then the follow-up, which makes it so great.
Just shows how deep the SEC is.
That one from SEC referee glaucoma awareness just shows how deep the SEC is.
Love it. Mike Norvell, I like how you said, Ralph said it's boiling. I said thin ice, and Will goes cooked. And this is the problem with it. I don't think Mike Norvell is a god-awful coach. But you just can't ignore the results. Like the data point has been big enough, especially getting past that 13-0, 13-1 season now, where you've had 2 back-to-back years. Will, I mean, you've said a lot of things on this show, Will. You've said a lot. One of the best things you've probably ever said was your rant that you had in January after they got the pants beat off of them by Georgia and saying it shows you the culture of the program. And that take caught a lot of heat from people around the country and saying, hey, don't look into that. So he's not right often, folks.
Hold on, I got this, Bryce.
There you go.
Hold on.
What have I been saying? What have I been warning? Never wrong. Never wrong.
The best part about it is his mic cut out right during the middle of that, so you couldn't even hear the whole thing he said. He said never wrong, just early. Okay, let's wrap it up with here, and let's go watch some Sunday Night Football during the day, as our friend Alex says.
Oh, boy.
I sat down and watched a full Auburn game for the first time this year.
I'll hold it.
Just hold. Hold.
I do want to say one thing before we start. Is Bryce's text during that last 2-3 drives in overtime was some of the best moments.
I was
of that
lit,
game.
dude. I was ready to streak on the field if need be.
From Columbus, Georgia.
From Columbus, Georgia. You see the players, the former players' reactions, and you see a lot of the tweets and the posts today. And we talked about this last week, and I think Will, you talked about this last week as well on your show. Like the amount that this has gotten public outside of the locker room with Hugh Freeze is, I think, the most alarming thing. From the Damari Alston situation to this now, where you've got comments from former players happening, and correct me if I'm wrong, players that played under Hugh Freeze towards the beginning of his tenure. I'm just going to say one in general. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but Eugene Asante, he was played last year for Auburn under Hugh Freeze, so he's been under the Freeze era for multiple years. For a guy that had to be a part of some of the worst football in Auburn history, between what we're watching now, and Brian Harsin, for guys like Eugene Asante to come out and talk about, hey, whatever they want to say, I think it just shows. So I'm saying Hugh Freeze should be, that's what we have on the screen, gone.
Fired.
I'll say this, and Ralph, you say what you want in 30 seconds or less, and then we're going to let Will have the last 5 minutes.
Oh, my bad. I mean,
but man, just Cole Kublik was the sideline reporter for last night's game. Auburn guy, does what he does, and I think when he stated again, this is what got me. This is all I'll say about it. When he stated again that the missed, I think it was the missed PI on Cam Coleman down the sideline, that it just dejected the Auburn sideline. I get it. You cannot let that continue to affect you throughout the football game. We talked about this last week, Will, when things go against you, because inevitably they will. Will said it last week. I will say it again. This Auburn team is mentally soft. They are mentally weak, and that's a reflection of leadership, and it's a problem, and you can't let it continue. So Hugh Freeze, in my opinion, should be gone. Should be gone. Ralph, you got 45 seconds.
It's not should be, it should have been already. I think this has been a disaster of a season. This was the big year for Hugh and this Auburn team. The year that everything finally came together. His guys are there. He's got the quarterback he's wanted, and we have seen absolutely nothing out of this team. You had the big win at Baylor week 1. We all kind of thought, okay, maybe it turns around this year. Maybe we're actually seeing it. And you play some down level opponents, and then you go start playing your SEC games, and you have done nothing. You can't finish games. You constantly complain about the referees. And I know they've been bad. I've stated multiple times the SEC officiating this year has been bad. But you have to make adjustments in some point in the game. The defense is elite. I'll say it. I don't care what anyone has to say about the defense. The defense is elite this year. Durkin has done the greatest job Auburn's seen this year. I mean, if you take anything from this year from Auburn, Xavier Atkins is a beast.
Be careful. Be careful.
What's wrong with saying that?
You might have been asleep
Durkin,
yesterday when we were texting about that.
DJ Durkin is probably one of the best defense coordinators in the country right now. And for what he has to deal with week in and week out. And the last thing is they have no kicking game whatsoever. And I know the story's there. It's sad, but you have 3 kickers on roster. Find somebody. Hold open tryouts, for God's sake. It's you let him kick a 50-yarder yesterday, knowing he wasn't going to come close to that, and he apparently hit it in practice. I don't believe that whatsoever. I haven't seen it once. So should have been fired. Should have been fired this morning, today at 12:00, like Will said early last night. All you, Will. All you.
Take it, my friend.
What you want to do? Say what you want to say.
Well, the reason he hasn't been fired yet is pretty obvious. It's John Cohen, the athletic director, the powers that be, the bagman, whatever you want to call them. They don't want DJ Dirk to have a shot at this job for whatever reason. I really haven't ever had an opinion, and these guys can back it up. I've really never had an opinion on DJ Durkin as Auburn's head coach. I really haven't. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Don't know how he'd be as a head coach, and he's the logical choice to be the interim because he has head coaching experience. But his time at Maryland was not good. For a number of reasons. But another reason why he hasn't been fired is that team showed last night against Missouri that they didn't quit. And it's kind of hard to justify firing him when the team is still clearly playing for him. They're just not getting the job done. The effort level is there. Job's just not getting done. And I don't know, this is going to turn into a ramble, a rant, just of all the things I saw last night. Listening to Hugh Freeze's press conference after the game was honestly the first time in 2.5 years where his answers made me kind of believe in him, which is it shouldn't take this long. He should have been doing this on day one where he's taking accountability and he admitted people are tired of hearing how close we are because the job's not getting done. But I said this last week, if the job's not getting done, try somebody else. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? At this point, you have nothing to lose. You're 0-4 in the SEC, which means now Auburn is guaranteed to not finish with a winning record in the SEC for the 5th straight year. The last time that's happened was a stretch from 1944 to 1952. So, again, I can keep giving you stats and numbers to tell you that this is the worst 5-6 year stretch of Auburn football in the history of the program. And they've been playing for 120 plus years. And it's really frustrating, I think, for everybody involved. And, I was hesitant about Hugh Freeze when he got the job and have continued to be, but at the time he felt like a fit. 2.5 years, felt like a good fit culturally. You knew he was going to recruit. He'd won 10 games everywhere he'd been, but that was my question. Auburn's a place where you're supposed to win championships. Where's his championships? That they're not there. And with everything that's going on with him, I think that's contributed to it off the field, which is very sad. Like I say, I'm trying to, and doing this about everybody, separate the person and the coach. Right, Coach Hugh Freeze, he needs to go. I've got nothing for him, no sympathy, nothing. Hugh Freeze, the person, he's got a lot going on. Maybe football shouldn't be his number one focus. But Hugh Freeze, the coach, it's a disaster. It's the time is up, and you kind of hinted at it about Bryce. I think about Alabama missing the SEC championship game. That's another risk you run at Auburn. You let this guy play it out and he somehow beats Alabama. You're going to fire a guy that beat it? He'd be the first coach ever at Auburn to be fired after beating Alabama. That's never happened.
Could you imagine waking up Monday or Sunday and he's gone? Like Toomer's corner is rolled.
That would make no sense.
And the head coach is gone. Like that would be nuts to think
He
about.
certainly wouldn't get a contract extension because he's under contract for 2 more years.
That's for sure.
Well, we can talk more about this on Tuesday, but I've got a lot of scenarios that could happen for Auburn. And for
Will
Hugh
you want
Freeze.
doing Will's
I like
hot board real quick or no?
Oh, that's Tuesday.
It's only
night's
got 2
content.
names on it.
It's Tuesday night content. I mean,
No.
it starts. Yeah.
There's casual takes. Casual takes.
That's
I
insane.
wouldn't be mad about having $3 million in my bank account right now. I don't care who I play for.
It's not, this is not an unfortunate situation
not,
for Eric
unfortunately.
Singleton at all.
I don't think he regrets it at all.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
This guy's still going to go to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that all the people watching live, which is more than 8 people, were able to see you talk about that. And you can talk about it more on Tuesday night. We'll be live, kind of diving into his thoughts on Auburn. I guess I'm going to let him release a hot board before we even get to the firing of the coach. But it's 2 names long, and it's one guy that Ralph and I saw a couple weeks ago, and a guy that I watched every single Saturday for 2 years run an offense that was pretty fun. So if it's the guy I think you're talking about, is it those 2 guys?
No, the second guy, no.
No, but you wouldn't mind that second guy.
I wouldn't.
Best bets. Oh,
we do need to talk about this.
We
Because
swept.
I won
let's go
one.
best bets real quick.
We
We're all on the board.
Yeah, we all swept. Will had
Missouri.
minus 3.5.
It was 3.5 on Sunday.
No, when you took it, I think it was 3.5. Was it not, or was it
It's
1.5?
whenever you lock it in.
It was 1.5, Gavin. It was 1.5. Okay, you took it at 1.5.
Okay, was
Okay,
it 3?
it was 3.5 at one point. Was it not? Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so.
I had James Madison minus 1.5. They absolutely blew out Old Dominion.
I had LSU Vandy under 60.5. 31-24 final.
Wild.
That's wild. Wow, they don't watch football out in Vegas, I guess. Nope. For 1 week. I think that's our 3rd clean sweep of the year. So when we're on, folks, we're on.
Yeah, I had a very comfortable victory for mine.
Georgia Tech opened up, by the way, as a 17.5-point favorite this weekend against Syracuse.
It'd be different if it was Angeli was playing.
17.5 points. If you cover that,
Give me.
that's great. That's a lot.
I'll wait till Saturday
a lot
morning
of
at
points.
11:30.
Give me Stinky Fran. Give me Stinky Fran.
Will be had, Gavin says. We appreciate you watching. Thanks so much for tuning in on Sunday night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Tomorrow night, I'll be live talking about Georgia Tech, a rewind. Is this really a top 10 team in the country? And then we'll be talking Auburn. We'll be back on Wednesday night live, previewing week number 9. Those will all be live. Also, make sure to check out some content. We'll be talking LSU this week with Blake Ruffino of AYS Sports. And then tomorrow on the channel, we'll have early hot board for the Florida Gators head coaching search as Swamp 24/7's Graham Hall is going to join the show. So make sure you check those, check in, talk with us, hang out in the Discord. Ralph, Larry, Will Manis. My name is Bryce Koon. Like, subscribe on all those platforms. Keep the numbers climbing. Fun announcement coming out tomorrow, by the way. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The crowded booth with Bryce Koon.